Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to Live with Andy. I'm your host, Andy Dybala. We got a lot of things to talk about on the docket today. I'm going to be diving into some deep fakes, some deep spies, and some deep info. I want you guys to kind of start paying attention in the news. We've seen this big disinformation warfare going on between Ukraine, Russia, and the United States Department of Defense. And this is not new. This stuff has been going on for a long time now. There's web pages, videos all about how they're setting up this whole disinformation network. And one of the things we're going to expose today, or we're going to hope to expose today, is I guess the way they go about using their disinformation and some of the things they're using the information on. We got Chinese spies uh, uh, being found out. Hawaii corporation. They had some Chinese spies that Merrick Garland was prosecuting today in court. We also have some MSU, Michigan State University, some election fraud connections with China as well. Harry the Greek and George Webb have been doing a lot of great work on that story. Apple, they patented deepfake animation technology. We're going to get into Twitter and Elon Musk Twitter bots and how they can use the information to influence social agendas, elections, whatever they want, pretty much. And we got Iran accusing the U.S. of infiltrating some of their protests. Did that happen in the United States? I think so, during the January 6th insurrection. And we got some disinformation about vaccines and how that affects our kids and the youth growing up. It's all going to be in today's schedule here on Live with Andy. I've been trying to enjoy my weekend with the Cleveland Browns. I'm a big football fan. I don't know if you guys know that out there. I'm a big Cleveland Browns fan, and they've been struggling lately. So while the Browns are losing, I got to focus my attention elsewhere to distract me from the heartache that they cause me on a weekly basis. But before I get into some of the info, I see some people in the chat. Just let me say hello to my chat brethren out there. We got Norman Smith. Howdy. I'm going to get Norman on the show here this week. We're seeing a lot of information about the January 6th insurrection. Trump, he's been subpoenaed. Steve Bannon, I guess he's going to prison for 4 months. A lot of people I stand with Steve. You know, I don't know if I stand with Steve, but I do stand for free speech. And Norman was at the January 6th insurrection. I want to put a little show together later this week from our Osprey Nation. We had a bunch of participants that went to election, and I want to put together their viewpoints in one big show to kind of expose what really happened on that fateful day here in America. We got the end of days prophet, Brother Andy. Welcome to the show once again. Norman Smith giving me the check mark. All right, everyone, we're gonna get to it here. Anne Marie, hello from New York. What are you up there in the Catskills? It looks like. I'm not quite sure what that picture is, but yeah, the weather's changing. I know it's cold down here in Texas, in Lubbock, Texas, and in the West Texas desert. It's like 50 degrees right now. The wind's blowing like 100 degrees. Oh, yeah, she is from the Catskills. Good guess, Andy. Pat myself on the back for that one. But yeah, it's cold down here, so I'm assuming it's cold everywhere else. So everyone, while you're bundled in, before I get started on the show, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that share button. Let's start spreading some of this information out there. I also, just to give everyone a tip, I started working on the a new revamped neighborhood news studio website today. It should be, it's going to be exciting and a little bit easier to use than the last one. A lot less going on. Plain and simple. Warm in Florida, Norman says, yeah. You got those genetically engineered mosquitoes going on in Florida. I'm going to be doing a story about that. Actually, let's just do that right now, Norman. Now that you're into it, so I'm going to go into my little share. Ooh, if I could find the right news article here. Okay, here we go. Excuse me, having some some dry throat issues down here in West Texas. I got a mosquito in my throat, apparently. All right, so here's a news story from NBC News. I noticed today a multi-million-dollar war against mosquitoes is underway in Florida after Hurricane Ian. Sorry. Hordes of mosquitoes have proliferated in Ian's floodwaters. Planes are dropping pesticide. I need to move my light. It's blocking my vision here a little bit. Planes are dropping pesticides over hundreds of thousands of acres to control the insects. First, the storm, then a plague of insects. Hordes of mosquitoes have proliferated in floodwater and debris left in Hurricane Ian's wake and now swarm Florida communities. State and local officials are waging a multi-million-dollar war against the blood-sucking insects, which are known to spread diseases like West Nile virus in St. Louis and encephalitis, as they try to keep residents safe and prevent voracious insects. Someone tell me if I need to pronounce that differently. Insects from slowing down the recovery crews working to fix power lines and rebuild infrastructure. The mosquitoes are out there. They're buzzing around. You know when you get those ones in your ear when it gets like real real high pitch, and you almost like you want to hit yourself so hard to make you're going to go deaf in whatever year it's that mosquitoes buzzing in. Yeah, the reason I bring this story up, the multi-million-dollar war against mosquitoes, is because our buddy Bill Gates, ladies and gentlemen, I've done some work previously on the show. It usually gets me a strike, and I usually get banned for 2 weeks. But so I'm gonna pop this Bill Gates in here real quick, just break it down for you. So Bill Gates is betting big on a technology that can make mosquitoes extinct, and this is called gene drive technology, where they try to pretty much use CRISPR technology to influence the mosquito's DNA. They alter its genetics so it doesn't have the malaria and the diseases anymore. And through breeding techniques, mosquitoes go around, they fly around and breed with each other. And the ones that are the ones that have the new DNA within them, excuse me, right when I do a show, I can't talk. This is unbelievable. But right, the ones with the new DNA with them, that's like the dominant gene within the mosquito community, and that one takes over and eliminates all the diseases within the mosquito community. And hopefully, eventually, within Africa and other places around the world, it eliminates those diseases in the human population as well, because mosquitoes are a big transmitter trans big transmitter of diseases. So one of the things in Florida that they need to look out for um, was a plan to release millions of genetically engineered mosquitoes in Florida gets the green light. And when was this written? In June 18th, 2020. So I just showed you the multi-million-dollar war against mosquitoes is underway in Florida. And a lot of those mosquitoes, what they're not saying in that news article, they're genetically engineered mosquitoes. And have found out recently that they can use these mosquitoes for vaccines, and if some scientist under Bill Gates' thumb wants to have a couple mosquitoes in the batch that, a test batch out there that they released in Florida that alter human DNA as well, it would be a very bad thing. So here I'm going to read a little bit of this article. Plan to release millions of GE mosquitoes in Florida gets green light. State regulator approves the plan despite strong objections by environmental groups who say risks have not been sufficiently analyzed. They plan to release a horde of 750 million genetically modified mosquitoes in Florida and Texas is a step closer to fruition after a state regulator approved the idea over the objections of many environmentalists. So it's going on in Texas as well. When I'm falling asleep at night and I hear that mosquito is in my ear, I'm gonna have to take the horse tail, whoosh, whoosh, start whipping these mosquitoes so I don't get the Bill Gates DNA. Oxitec, a British biotechnology company, has targeted the US as a site to test for a special version of Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. The mosquitoes contain a protein that, when passed on to female offspring, will lessen their chances of survival, and it is hoped to prevent them from biting people and spreading diseases such as dengue fever and Zika. On Tuesday, it was announced that the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Service has given the green light to a plan to release the millions of mosquitoes in the Florida Keys, the string of picturesque islands that extend from southern tip of the state beginning this summer. I was in the Florida Keys with Norman and Wendy last winter in the Chad. Hopefully, that might explain a lot, guys, of what what happened. What happens, and I've learned what happens in the Keys stays in the Keys. Last month, the U.S. Environment. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but anyway, you get the point. If you live in Florida, I guess if you're living in Texas too, watch out for them genetically engineered mosquitoes because they're coming to get you. And one other thing, I guess bats. There's been a lot of talk about bats in the last couple of years relating to SARS and COVID. Guess what they eat? They go around, they fly out of their caves at night, and they munch on mosquitoes. And if the bats are getting these diseases in certain regions in Ukraine and Western China, Africa, maybe it is because some of these Bill Gates experiments he's doing with these gene dried mosquitoes. So let's keep our eyes open. Let's keep our ears to the ground and make sure you put on your bug spray this fall. I'm sure bug spray causes some type of cancer, by the way. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, they're gonna get you. But all right, let's see here. What else do I want to get into? Let me say hi to the chat. There's a bunch more people in here now. Big mosquitoes, lots of mosquitoes. Yeah, that's our first. I'm gonna have to ask you when you're on about the mosquitoes later this week. Bill Rhodes. What's up, Bill Rhodes, Anne Marie, Corky Gus, mosquitoes fight back, call for extinction of Bill Gates. I agree. Anything he touches. Citronella plants also keep them away. I have a couple of dead citronella plants in the back porch here down here in Texas. There's a little green at them. They smell good, but yeah, they do a good job of keeping the mosquitoes away. So make sure. I think lavender also does the trick. So if you plant some lavender around your backyard and some citronella, that's a good natural way to keep the mosquitoes at bay. Wow. That should be, if they don't start using that as a tagline. A little lavender and a little citronella is a good natural way to keep the mosquitoes at bay. I'm a genius. I'm a poet. What can I say? All right, what else are we getting in here besides me taking a big gulp of water? Drink your H2O, people. Whenever I start feeling a little down, like, why am I feeling weird? My heart's pumping a little bit harder. My gut's feeling a little bit off. Sometimes I just be like, maybe I'm dehydrated. Chug some water. 10 minutes later, I'm feeling great. So make sure before you go to WebMD, chug some water. That's Andy's health tip of the day. All right. All right, here. Our next article. US charges Chinese nationals with schemes to steal info, punish critics, and recruit spies. Inspector Gadget. Inspector Spy. I don't know if that's a song. Okay, here we go. The Justice Department on Monday unsealed charges in three separate cases, accusing more than a dozen defendants, most of them Chinese officials, of participating in schemes to repatriate critics of Chinese government, obtained secret information about a U.S. investigation into a Chinese telecom firm, Huawei, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, Huaei, and recruit spies to act as agents of Chinese regime in the US. Yeah, if you actually, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Washington D.C., just like full of Asian people, Chinese people. It's just like spy network 101 going on there. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced the charges alongside FBI Director Chris Wray and top Justice Department officials. 10 of the 13 individuals charged in the cases are Chinese officials, Wray said. As these cases demonstrate, the government of China sought to interfere with the rights and freedoms of individuals in the U.S. and to undermine our judicial system that protects those rights. They did not succeed, Garland said. Beijing may think our adherence to the rule of law is a weakness, but they're wrong, Ray said. Our democratic and legal processes arm us with weapons that China does not have. In one of the cases, two Chinese intelligence officers were accused of attempting to obstruct the criminal investigation into a Chinese telecommunications company with charging documents saying the pair worked with a double agent who fed them info at the direction of the FBI. The two defendants, Guokong He and Zheng Wei, remain at large. Guokong He has also been charged with money laundering based on bribes made to the double agent. The scheme, which allegedly began in 2019, involved He and Wang directing the U.S. law enforcement official to steal confidential information about the criminal case against a global telecommunications company, Huawei, including files from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn. In exchange, the double agent received bribes for $61,000 in Bitcoin. Ka-ching! The affidavit filed in support of the charges does not name the company Huawei, but I do, but references a press release issued by the Justice Department in February 2020. All right. So we have this going on. We got spies being recruited. They're trying to steal info. I don't know if you guys watched my show last week, but I did a big shindig on how China has these like undercover police departments all around the world. There was one in New York that they just busted. It was above like some noodle shop or something like that. There's three of them in Ireland. There's some in Australia, but there's a total of 50 Chinese undercover police departments around the world. And I had a feeling that they were using those. They said that Chinese citizens, there's a lot of them around the world, you know, they're China's not a melting pot of bringing people in, they're a melting pot of sending people out. There's like 2.1 billion of them. They don't want anyone else coming into their country anymore. So they're like, let's get these people out there. They're under the government thumb. They're under our umbrella. If we ultimately need some information from them, we're going to be able to get it. We can. These police departments were used to uh, redeem people's passports and such if they were living in another country, and if they didn't want that person living there anymore, they could just bing, take them home. And the U.S., can't take them into their jail cells, and they can't interview them about if they're a spy, and they can't get their double agents on the case. So it's a good way to kind of hide their spy network around the world pretty much. And yeah, you see these two guys here, they're at bay. I wonder if they just go to their little police department, put a little bag under their head, and next thing, boom, they're off back to China, and they're probably no longer with us. I don't mean to laugh. But if you spy, you spy. All right, so this is a story on newsothermiss.com. I want to make sure I repeat that, newsothersmiss.com. Newsothersmiss.com. That's Harry the Greek. He's done a lot of work with neighborhood news. This is his article right here. It's going to break down how Michigan State's they use like pretty much Chinese spies to fix some elections, and we also know that China, through TikTok, through Zoom, and some of these other web apps, they use that. You download the app on your little iPhone here, and you just agree to the terms, because no one who reads the terms and conditions, unless you're a nerd. I'm a nerd and I don't even read them, so you got to be like a super nerd to read the terms and conditions. Everyone agrees to them, and next thing you know, you're sending all your data back to China. They can probably hack your camera. They can watch your text messages, see how much money you got in your bank account, whatever it may be. That's TikTok, Zoom, and some of these other apps they have out there, like WeChat. But um, here's a little bit of a different story. I'm gonna read this article from newsothersmiss.com. China's election fixer Konix Yu escapes the U.S., leaving his spy network intact at MSU. The source is Michigan State University. According to the FBI in China, the world's top election fixer is the Chinese spy Zhanhui Yujinyu. He runs a China-based company, Konek. They specialize in selling voting machine systems that fix elections and send election results and store $25 million voter registration profiles in China. This is, take everything with a little bit of a grain of salt, because he's just giving you the direct information that's good off the bat. So he's cutting the bullshit out pretty much. That's why he's just fix elections, send election results, and store 25 million voter registration profiles in China. So that's them stealing your information. Konek is owned by the Chinese National Army, which owns the Chinese Communist Party. Konek servers were vacated from their location Friday. They store, send, and receive data from all over the world. The rent is paid by and if you click on these articles, it takes you to them, and it verifies what he's saying right here. The rent is paid by David Washburn, ex-director and owner of Red Cedar Ventures LLC, using $5 million at MSU's foundation money. Red Cedar is a venture capital firm across the street from Michigan State University Foundation. We all know they love using their foundations and NGOs to funnel money and kind of get the shit they want done under the books. The books are kept in the same building by Rebecca Skersners, the MSU's treasurer. Well, at least up to Friday, when Konix vacated its U.S. headquarters in East Lansing, Michigan. According to MSU, since Red Cedar and Konek are private companies, their lease and revenue sharing agreement are exempt from public information disclosure. So if it's a private company running space within a public space like a university, the Freedom of Information Act does not apply to them. Konek fixes elections on 3 continents: Australia, Canada, and the U.S. I'm wondering if they put a lot of those World Economic Forum officials in there. Here's a picture of Eugene Yu, Donna H. Wang, Department of Defense. Konek get an award from the Department of Defense. So if the U.S. Department of Defense is working with a spy company within China, and they're saying they could influence our elections, we all know the in Detroit, in Michigan. For actually forgetting the name of the center right now, skimming off the top of my head. But yeah, that was a big battleground for election fraud, specifically in Michigan. If they're getting some Michigan State, obviously state university, it's in the state capital, have an influence over who uses the election systems. This is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, we all think the U.S. Department of Defense kind of conspired to get Trump out of office in some ways. I guess not the U.S. DoD, but the the deep state snakes within, I'll say. So we got Chinese spies at at Huawei. We got Chinese spies using election, abusing our elections in America and in Michigan. We have uh, we have these scientists. The Zhong Wei Kui. She was one of her and her husband. They got pretty much fired from the BSL-4 lab here in Canada that does SARS research, and a lot of people are saying that she and her husband were stealing SARS samples out of the Canadian biolab and sending them back to China. So there's spies in Canada. These are we got Chinese police headquarters all around the world. We got them using TikTok. Here's Zoom. I don't know if you know Zoom. Everyone knows Zoom, but Zoom is the owners of Zoom is a United States citizen, but he's Chinese also. And if you base it off as like China sending operators out and their spies, you can kind of make the links here yourself. That Zoom might be a Chinese spy company, but Zoom during the pandemic just went through the roof. Everyone, it was around. No one really used it, but everyone stayed at home. Every business in the world, every school in the world, if our local government in Michigan and Ohio, they were using Zoom for their meetings. Our like our U.S. government, the White House, they were using Zoom in their meetings. Pelosi, Trump, and the boys, they're all using Zoom, and they have links to China. You download the Zoom app, sends your information to China. This isn't a good look for our security systems here in the U.S. And I see the disinformation tactics they're trying to use with Russia and Ukraine. And they've tried to do the same thing with China as well. And we all know the United States corporations and English banks, they have a lot of influence in China. That's why a lot of our goods come from there. So I don't like to view it as like the CCP in China. I like to view it as like US corporations in England working with the CCP to kind of get some of these things done. That's how I view it under the Live with Andy Dybala lens. So just make sure, you guys, everyone out there, that you're paying attention to what apps you're downloading and the information you're given to certain companies. You never know how they're going to use it against you. It's something we're going to be getting into here pretty soon on this show here. I do need a little bit of a break. I'm starting to get a little chalky in the throat here. Here, let's say hello to the chat. Give up myself an information break for a moment. Aerosolized viruses will be sprayed over mosquitoes and humans. Kate Gwent going. There are also zappers. Yep. Greg Clark, what's up, Andy? I got your message today, Greg Clark. I'll give you a call back. I've been busy putting this show together. Been pumping some iron, getting healthy too, and taking care of some business every day. Taking care of business in every way. It's all right. Oh, I make myself laugh. China opened a police station in New York for our safety, I think. That would be bad if the CCP was the one looking out for us. Is Magic Johnson involved? I'm not 100% sure about that. Yeah, but yeah, speaking of communism, got Karl Marx, Frederick Engels' book right here, The Communist Manifesto. I don't, you probably heard me making fun of it in my little spoof I made about the ongoing transgender revolution here in the world. But Karl Marx, yeah, if you're basing any of your ideology, ideal apparently I don't even, whatever I'm going to say, I don't even know how to talk. So take that with a grain of salt. But if you're basing any of your ideas off Karl Marx, just know the man was a bum. Frederick Engels just funded him. His dad was an industry man. You know, he had a bunch of money and he funded Karl Marx. Karl Marx was like a terrible husband. He was a terrible father. He left all his kids like died of disease and descent. Literally, his wife was like sick. They're all just like he was just like this. He didn't take care of his family, friends. All he cared about was himself and getting his education and leading this revolution. And he didn't take care of any of his personal business. So I'll say, if you don't take care of your own personal business, don't be leading revolutions. You know, take a look in the mirror. Marx missed the mark. He definitely did. He was a bum of a man. And a lot of people are like, yeah, let's be communists. And it's like, no, just research a little bit who Karl Marx is. And he'll be like, what? It's like that's a leader. That's an example that I want to put on a pedestal to live my life by. It's like, no. It's like his kids, his family lived in the gutter while he's off getting educated in distant lands trying to lead revolutions. You know, if you can't take care of your family, how can you take care of anyone else? But anyway, I guess that's my little rant about Karl Marx. But on to the my deep fake talk. Here we go. Here we go now. Here we go now. A jump up, a get down. All right, Apple. No one said I had talent singing, guys. Apple patents deepfakes as researchers or talking. No one said I had talent talking either. Apparently, my tongue's a little too large, stumbling over it, you know, like my big feet when I was growing up. Apple patents deepfakes as researchers try to stay a step ahead of bad actors. So, Apple has been awarded a patent for making deepfakes, and the best the world can hope for out of this is Apple using it only as a way to bankrupt criminal synthetic media rings. That was a great line. Two reasons. There's no more reason to trust Apple with deepfakes than any other company, and the world's proposed defenses to malicious algorithms are either extremely short term fixes or hopes. Excuse me. Compare what Apple is likely to do with its patent spotted by Patently Apple to what bright minds are toying with to detect deepfake videos, particularly those used to defraud. The patent covers changing the expression and pose of a facial image. So, like, you can have a deepfake of a person just like sitting there, you know, or the background's fake, but they specifically patent like the facial movements and the talkings and like smilings and stuff. So Apple, if you see any new deepfakes out there, Apple is going to own it. I'm assuming it's going to be an app you download on your phone. It's going to be one of those things. It's going to be real fun. Blah blah blah. If it does come to that, expect a lot more spoofs out of this guy. Let me tell you that. Apple produces live action and animated video content and owns a display space on millions of palms and on a lot of wrists. It will soon own the space belted to people's foreheads. That's your Apple glasses Without doubt, Apple will be digitizing faces for the metaverse, games, movies, and app avatars. And otherwise, it will normalize the biggest threat to a collective reality since Facebook. Look how that is playing out again and again. Information technologies deliver new dangers with each advance. And here I got a couple deepfake videos for you. Give my voice a little break here. I do hope the sound works. Let me know if it's a 5x5 in the chat, but here you go. At least Jordan Peele is funny. But here's a another video here. Like that's some creepy stuff, right? You know, that's not Obama. It's not the best Obama impression, but it's decent enough where if you're just drunk and you're skimming through on Twitter or something, oh, look what Obama said, or people fall for that. And I'm sure you guys have seen this one too. Here's the Tom Cruise deep fake from a couple years ago. I got to replay this. I forgot he talks about Russia. What a coincidence. I heard there's no sound on this one. Oh, StreamYard, you need to fix your sound problems. What a pain in the ass. Okay, give me a second here, guys. There should have been sound on that. Let me tell you.
Reminds me, once in Russia, I ran into Gorbachev. He said, Mr. Movie Star, are you nervous? I said, no, Mr. Gorbachev, I'm not nervous. He goes, well, remember how much a polar bear weighs. I said, polar bear? He said, enough to break the ice. It's the last time I've ever seen Mikhail Gorbachev.
What's up, TikTok? You guys cool if I play some sports? I love it. More for the audio experience.
Nice swing.
As much as the momentum. Hey, listen up, sports and TikTok fans. If you like what you're seeing, just wait till what's coming next. I'm gonna show you some magic. It's the real thing. I mean, it's all the real thing.
That guy's actually, for being a deep fake artist and not being Tom Cruise, whoever did that video, I'm assuming he's an actual actor. He's got some chops because that was pretty good. I'm not replaying the Obama video. I don't know if you guys got sun on the Obama one, but yeah, it's just I'm just showing you guys a couple deep fake videos to make a point to be paying attention to what you're looking out for on the internet because they use these fakes. This is why you see this big disinformation campaign with Russia and Ukraine, the United States Defense Department against China. They're all there's this everyone's has this disinformation campaign armed at each other because we're all in this digital social sphere and we're trying to decipher which news is correct, which news is incorrect. Do I listen to Anderson Cooper? Do I listen to Andy Dybala? I mean, it's a big question out there in the world right now. A lot of people are trying to figure it out. Anderson Cooper, Andy Dybala. I prefer myself, you know. I'm not a Vanderbilt. I don't have the deep state connections. So you guys can trust me. Wouldn't you think so? So you have these deep state Obama videos. You have these deep state Tom Cruise videos or deep fakes. We got Apple. They have the patent for deep fake technology now. And we have bots. What is another thing that can influence elections, can influence the social direction of the United States? It's a bots. You have these fake people, you know, they just think if you could create just random AI generated faces and you have a good voice actor, he could do like 50 different faces, you know, and they all start making YouTube videos going, George Floyd, we need burn down Minnesota, George Floyd. The U.S. January 6th election, it was a capital insurrection. The Trump fans, they're all racist Nazis, whatever it is. Just like kind of have that in your mind where we have the deep fake technology and we have Twitter bots, we have Facebook bots, we have Instagram bots, we have just internet bots in general on message boards, on Reddit, everywhere, all trying to direct you in a certain information lane, whether it be right wing, left wing, are you pro Russian, are you pro Ukraine, what have you, pro Biden, pro Trump. So here I found this article interesting because it was written by the Rand Corporation. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the Rand Corporation, but they have their own deep state ties themselves. But they had there's a couple interesting points this person made in the article. So Elon Musk may have a point about bots on Twitter. Good. By Merrick N. Posard, September 23rd, 2022. When Twitter deposed Elon Musk this week in its lawsuit over his attempt to buy the company, the issue of bot accounts will likely be front and center. Musk has been trying to back out of the $44 billion deal. We all know this is in the past now. He's actually going to be purchasing Twitter. Claiming the platform is filled with bots. A few months ago, in a series of tweets, the CEO of Twitter, Parag Agrawal, gave a detailed description about the complexity of estimating spam on the platform. Musk responded, "Have you tried just calling them? Twitter has a deep bench of engineers working for the company. They have access to trillions of data points on their over $300 million monthly active users. Why has a company this size struggled to clean up its platform? Back in 2020, I led a project at RAND that developed tools to detect Russian interference in US elections on Twitter. So back in 2020, they were already digging into this whole disinformation campaign. Our team was small, fewer than 10 people. We had access to only 2.2 million tweets from 630,391 unique accounts. In a few months, our team was able to detect patterns of Russian bots and trolls on the platform that appeared to be interfering with American elections. So Russians elected Biden. You heard it here. The Russians elected Biden. Unbelievable. Who would have thought, according to this guy? If Rand could pull this off in a few months, why couldn't Twitter do the same on a larger scale? So you got China, with their spies at Michigan State, with the whole biowarfare program. They're trying to influence the United States. Then you got Russia. They're trying to influence our elections as well via bots. You see how you guys you're just sitting there and you're on Facebook. Why you just seem like you're just getting pulled in all these directions sometimes. And they can pick and prod you with the algorithm. You know how Facebook, social media doesn't make anyone happy while they're sitting there. It makes you angry, makes you mad, makes you want to go out and vote. And that's what they are trying to do. Okay, let me find out where I left off. Here's a possible hypothesis. Twitter might not want to look too closely at this problem because then they would have to remove accounts, reducing the number of reported active users on the platform. More than 90% of Twitter's revenue comes from advertisers, and it is probably safe to assume that most of these advertisers are paying Twitter to display ads to real human beings, not bots or Russian trolls masquerading as Americans. Or Peter Duke masquerading as Klaus Schwab. I don't know if you guys follow his Klaus Schwab Twitter account, but it's pretty funny sometimes. If Twitter removed more of these inauthentic accounts, it would ding its active user metrics, which drive advertising revenue, the source of value for the platform. Twitter is not the only social media with this problem. Back in 2017, Facebook claimed that ads on its platform could reach 41 million Americans between the ages 18 and 24. The problem was the U.S. Census Bureau claimed that only 31 million Americans in this age group existed. And I'm not going to continue reading the story, but you guys kind of I hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. The United States Department of Defense, the Pelosi's, the deep states within, they use these disinformation tactics as well. A constitutional republic of information. Ooh. That's actually a decent idea, Corky. We'll have to have a meeting about that one. A constitutional republic of information. Like a bank of information. We have to safeguard information. We used to be able to do that in our libraries. They like to burn those down, but they like to burn the libraries down, though. Alexandria, when it burned, you got when the Mongols, when they took over, what was it, Constantinople or Istanbul, or whatever it was. They threw away so much information that they said the rivers ran red with blood and black with ink. And a lot of our human history was lost in the Mongol invasion. You know, they try to destroy our information on the internet. They try to cover up the facts. Even my old articles and my old notes, you know, I try to go back. There's this way, go to the Wayback Machine. That'll, if the website's 404, you can always go to the Wayback Machine and you might be able to find it. Luckily, we have that. But yeah, Corky, an information republic, you know, something to safeguard all information. I propose we put Hillary Clinton in charge of that one. Let's put her on the information republic as president. Hopefully she uses a secure email this time. Oh, Andy. But yeah, get back to the bots. You got deep fakes trying to trick you. You got bots trying to influence you. There's a lot going on the internet. And one of the reasons I'm bringing these up in the beginning of the war, you know, there's a lot of people saying that this guy, Mr. Zelensky, you saw him just out. He was out trying to propagate the United States in other countries into like giving money, giving supplies, giving equipment for the Ukraine war. And you see here, what is he standing in front of? A green screen. What do you do with green screens? You put a fake background behind you and you act like you're in a war zone. You go, blah, blah, blah. Send me money, United States Department of Defense. And we've sent over, was it $12 billion to Ukraine now? You know, rebuild their infrastructure, test out some of our weapons, provoke Russia a little bit, cut off the pipelines. Let's destroy Europe. You know, and they were using this deep fake technology to kind of trick us all. And there were reports coming out of Ukraine when the war broke out. We've seen videos of like, you know, maybe some of the stuff we're seeing on the internet that's being pushed on our news. We know they already lied about coronavirus. They lied about 4 years of Trump presidency. Every little bit of drama that happened during those 4 years, it was like, they were searching under every Trump rug they could to find some dirt on him, and just pushing it as much as they could. We've seen the Capitol insurrection. Now we've seen Ukraine. They're doing this. They're doing the same thing over there. They're trying to influence our minds, people, and they're using technology to do so. And here's something. I just have a little video, and these are actually what Russians think. Actually, I don't know if this will work now because you guys all complain about the sound. Hey, Andy, the sound doesn't work. You're a bozo. Get your life together. I don't like your stream. I'm hitting the dislike button. That's what you guys do every time that I have some sound issues. But here we go. Here's a video of what Russians actually think about the war in Ukraine, and a lot of them have Putin's back. Maybe because if they get caught on this video, they'll be sentenced to death or sent to the war. But keep that in mind.
Я считаю, там президентом должен находиться человек лояльный к Российской Федерации.
Oh, I forgot. I gotta translate. And to get rid of Nazis and live for their pleasure. At first, we took Crimea in 2014. Now another 4 regions. We're showing Putin walking down the street, doing his Russian thing. See the reports that Putin has cancer right now. They're saying, "Oh, he has skin spots. Oh, there's something on his face growing. Oh, his neck looks weird. His skin looks white." They're trying to push those deep fake reports of Putin's unhealthy as we speak. It was announced that it's denazification and demilitarization to destroy an international terrorist country like Ukraine. It's hard to say, but Ukraine wants that war. They want to enslave DNR and DPR regions, but Russia wants peace, so all Russian-speaking people live in peace. Capitulation, nothing else. Peace, so they could stop everything. So that Ukraine fulfilled the conditions and would be neutral and get rid of Nazis and let them live for their own pleasure. Once you have order there for themselves. Because you have to consider for a long time some foreign countries were influencing their politicians and their citizens with the help of propaganda. She's talking about the United States. Sadly, it's most likely there is some geopolitical interest for our country. And second, we need to help people. We're all alive after all. The question is not for 1 minute or an hour, but saying something so that it gets shown somewhere how it's stupid or smart people here. I don't like that. They want them to stop. It's enough to mock everyone. Ukraine should realize that there's no way. Why can they shoot, but we can't? I think that the president should be a person who's loyal to Russia. Then everything will settle down. In my understanding, there are mostly mercenaries fighting from the Ukrainian side. This he's on point. It's called the Azov Battalion, funded by the United States Department of Defense. And they're a bunch of Nazis. And we've even seen pictures of Zelensky, with some of the warriors behind him, and they have like Nazi patches on their arm, and they like expunge that from the internet as quick as they could. I think they are creating the situation first that we had to defend ourselves. If we were given the whole truth, maybe I would be able to tell you. I don't know the whole truth. First question I would ask defensemen are, why does the war go that way? I mean, combat action. And why are soldiers getting treated that way, where they have to take stuff from their homes? Peace, of course, so that the war stops. I have no idea what is in their heads. Hey, Putin would want to conquer everything over there, I think. Subdue them. It's hard to answer what does the Kremlin want. They kind of illogical. Would they be logical? They wouldn't want to even go there to the sovereign country. They are criminal in Kremlin. At first, we took Crimea in 2014. Now another is it starting over? Nuclear war and apocalypses. I don't think for Kremlin. I think for myself. It is somewhat presumptuous to think for others. So you kind of have a little mishmash of Russian people. Some of them are backing Putin. Some of them are like, hey, you should at least treat our soldiers better if you're going to be sending them over there. Why do they got to take stuff from people's homes? Why do they got to act in certain ways? And it's a big issue at hand. I do have another video I want to show you. I'm going to take a little bathroom break while this plays here for a moment. But this is Patrick Lancaster. He's a boots-on-the-ground journalist in Ukraine and Russia right now. And he's saying that Ukraine is shelling Russian schools, church, and kindergarten, and cultural centers. And the Western media is ignoring the fact that Ukraine is actually shelling the Russian side as well. It's not just all defense. So I'm going to play a little bit of this video, probably like 5 minutes here. This is Patrick Lancaster, just to let you guys know.
I'm Patrick Lancaster. Right now, we are in the village of Murom in Russia. This is the Belgorod region of Russia. And this city and village has come under intense attacks by Ukrainian forces. You can behind me see the House of Culture here in the center. This is the center square. And if we follow these shrapnel holes in the earth, we'll get to the areas that have taken intense shelling. Now, it's said that there was many civilian buildings hit by shelling both yesterday, a kindergarten, and just hours ago there was several. We're told the school and the House of Culture, which we can see behind it. Doesn't look like too much damage up front, but we'll see what the situation is. But this is Ukraine hitting the center of a civilian village in civilian buildings here in Russia. This isn't East Ukraine. This isn't something that's internationally recognized as part of Ukraine. This is Russia, proper Russia, under fire from Ukraine. Now, of course, all of Ukraine is under fire from Russia right now. Over 30% of the electric infrastructure of Ukraine is down because of the attacks on the infrastructure from Russia. But we're here to show you what the situation is in Russia, in these frontline villages. We're just under 5 kilometers from the front line itself to show you what the situation is, because you deserve to see information from both sides of the line, not just what the mainstream media shows you. It tries to lead you like sheep with.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Look out for those
Можете
disinformation
сказать, как
campaigns.
обстановка здесь?
Нормально. А вы кто?
Пресса.
А откуда вы пресса?
Я родился в США, но жил в Донецке уже 8 лет.
Да?
Можно сказать, что произошло
Ну,
сегодня?
видите, что произошло.
Когда это было?
We're talking about what
часов.
happened that day.
Ага, сегодня.
Buildings getting bombed, people were getting
Вот,
shot.
видите, по мирным бьют.
Ага.
Нету никаких военных, ничего.
They were shooting at
Это
civilians.
школа?
Да.
Ага.
School is completely
Вот
destroyed.
это клуб, посмотрите, вот клуб с этой стороны.
The city center is completely destroyed. And this is in Russia.
Вот, смотрите. А это школа.
Clubhouse.
Вот.
Это какой клуб? За детей? или-
Клуб ДК,
Ага.
Дом культуры.
И это что?
He walks around some of the buildings here.
And also the cultural center here in the center. And yesterday, those two were today, the school and the cultural center, just hours ago. But then yesterday, the kindergarten just across the square here, the center square, was hit.
Now, just keep in mind, when you hear Ukraine is shelling Russia, think who supplied those weapons. Think who supplied those arms. United States Department of Defense and NATO.
So it almost seems like they're just aiming at the very center of the village. Again, we're going to continue investigation, see what else is possible target here. But at first glance, it seems like this is just the center of a small village, which is on the border of Russia and Ukraine.
Okay, so there's Patrick Lancaster in Ukraine. The buildings were did I play the wrong one? Could you guys not hear that? I'm having problems with StreamYard today, apparently. I don't know why the sound's not working when it should work. But yeah, just pay attention to disinformation campaigns that the United States is putting out there, that China's putting out there, that Russia's putting out there. We got the United States, Department of Defense, Ukraine, NATO. They're now shelling parts of Western Russia, and it's just going to lead to more warfare, more bodies, more deaths, and we're trying to avoid the situation as a whole. And you know, as we know, the elites, they don't go and fight wars and shoot guns and die in the battlefields. No, it's us guys. It's the peasants of society. The poor man fights the rich man's war, and we can't have that storyline continue into the future anymore here on this planet. Retarded General Petraeus says he can go into Ukraine with a U.S. and other nations' force not associated with NATO. What? Petraeus, yeah, he also is contacting China when Trump was president, towards the end of his presidency, saying like, hey, we're not going to go to war with you, blah, blah, blah. Don't listen to what Trump says. He was like also undermining the president as well. Oh no, I'm thinking Miley, not Petraeus. Sorry. The power elite assault the working class of our people. Yes, they do. All right. What's my oh, here we got one last article, then the show's over. Can you guys dig it? We got Iran says it will sue US, the United States, not us, the United States, alleging direct involvement in protests. So Iran said Saturday it would take legal action against the United States, accusing it of direct involvement in the protests sweeping the country. Tehran also warned the United Kingdom and Saudi Arabia would not be ignored by the Islamic Republic's judiciary system for their role in hosting and supporting TV networks such as BBC Persian and Iran International, which it claimed had urged protesters to destroy public and private properties. Anti-government protests have gripped Iran since September 16th, death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who died after being pulled off the streets of Tehran by morality police and taken to a re-education center for lessons in modesty. Remember when AOC and Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats were talking about Trump voters needing some re-education in some centers? It happens. Strikes and protests have become a common sight in cities and towns across the country, and in capital chants of death to the dictator in reference to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei often ring out at night from the rooftops. U.S. President Joe Biden has thrown his support behind the demonstrators, promising costs on perpetrators of violence against peaceful protesters, and saying the U.S. stands with the brave women of Iran who right now are demonstrating to secure their basic rights. So, yeah, they accused the U.S. government of similar claims in 2018 as well, and for like doing some digital disinformation warfare on the internet. And this is just more than what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. If Iran can accuse the U.S. of all this destruction going on in their country, whether it be for whatever reason, just know that this goes on in all countries around the world with U.S. CIA military mercenaries involvement. So one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up, this is part of the deep fake disinformation campaign I'm talking about. It happened here in the United States under the Trump presidency. That's why you saw the George Floyd, the Brett Kavanaugh situation, Trump being impeached 2 different times, and they're considering him an insurrectionist, an un-American insurrectionist trying to destroy our democracy. And that's all through, and they use these bots on Twitter acting like everyone's angry at Trump. They use them on Facebook. They use these deep fake videos acting like people are pissed off and to start pushing their narrative and pushing us in the direction of voting for Joe Biden and start pushing some of these policies to to completely take over the world, pretty much. To be blunt about it, so that's the ultimate goal of their evil plans is complete world domination, and they're using the internet to their advantage. They're using it well, and I just wanted to provide you guys some hints, some insights into what's going on your social media apps, your TikToks, your Zooms, your Twitters with the bots, like who owns them and who's trying to use the information provided in the apps to influence yourself. So just make sure you're paying attention out there. I am Elon Musk, Tesla bot. Have your eyes open, ladies and gentlemen. Do not Be a sheep. Do not be a robot. Think for yourselves. All right, that's the end of the show today. I am in Lubbock, Texas. Gregory Clark, just to let you know. I hope to be heading up to the cold state of Michigan / Ohio here this winter, this fall. Everyone out there, stay warm, stay in shape. Can't buy some canned goods, store some extra gallons of water. You might want to start being prepared a little bit with the upcoming doom, the recession coming. So everyone, maybe do a show tomorrow night. I think it'll be Wednesday. I think I'm going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week from now on. So actually, yeah, let's actually make that plan right now. Let's set it in stone. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 o'clock, our guess, Central Time. I'm not Central Time. 7 o'clock Eastern Time, right here on Live with Andy from now on. Thank you guys for joining me once again. Taz, Freedom 123, Corky Gas, Resvedka, Michelle Bambi, Maslin. Who else is in there? Norman, Kate Gowen, Stuart J. Smith, Izzy Fury. All you guys out there, thank you for your continued support of Live with Andy in Neighborhood News. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good evening.